it is Super FM 933. On Instagram, it is Super FM 93.3. And on YouTube, it is Super FM PH. We're live on all of these platforms. And of course, you can call us live to join us and discuss all the issues we'll be discussing this morning. Once again, thank you so much for joining us on Super FM every Saturday. And want to seize this opportunity to thank all our participants on Super FM. Today on Super FM, Point Blank, we're discussing something very, very critical. And it has to do with the hydrocarbon pollution remediation project, HYPREP. It is 11 years after the UNEP report concerning Ogoni oil spill and 6 years after the Ogoni cleanup was flagged off. And it is 7 months that Dr. Ferdinand Gyadom was appointed as a project coordinator of HYPREP. But the question is, beyond the hypes, what are the substances on ground after 11 years of UNEP report, 6 years after the Ogoni cleanup flag off, and 7 months of Dr. Ferdinand Gyadom in the saddle as the project coordinator of the Ogoni cleanup project? Again, we are asking, how far and how well as the project fares? What are the flops? What are the fears? What are the level of faiths you have in the management of the system? And what would you want change? Are there expectations? What are these expectations? And these and many more we'll be discussing right now on Point Blank this Saturday. Once again, thank you so much for staying with us. My guest is already seated, and I'll be bringing in my guests shortly.
Tired of the lies? Tired of the spin? Are you ready to hear the hard-hitting truth in a comprehensive, conservative, and principled fashion? Point Blank on Super FM 93.3 brings you all the news you need to know. Real conversations, real news, and one-on-one interviews with some of the most intriguing names in River State, South Nigeria, and the country today. Unbiased analysis the way you wish still existed.
They're damaging the economy of the country. I'm not bothered about whether federal government is supporting us or not. Because if you cannot protect the lives of your people, then there's no governance.
From the news that dominates the headlines to the important topics below the fold, left, right, and center busts the opinion bubbles and echo chambers with genuine discussion and real talk.
Out of $500 million that President Goodluck Jonathan borrowed for Kano, Abuja, Kaduna. At the time I was speaking, we were paid over 100 and something million out of the $500 million.
Tune into Point Blank with Shegun Awolabi every Saturdays 8:15 a.m. on Super 93.3 FM. Point Blank, civilized yet provocative.
So once again, thank you so much for staying with us. And this morning, we're discussing the $1 billion Ogoni cleanup exercise that was launched in 2018 and to be managed by HYPREP. Now, let me just give you a bit of background on HYPREP. HYPREP was established under the Federal Ministry of Environment. It's published by the Federal Government Gazette of number 176, volume 103 of December 2026 to achieve very specific objects, and some of them include determining the scope, means, modality of remediation of soil and groundwater contamination in impacted communities as may be recommended by the HYPREP Governing Council and REMIDEM, enhance local capacity for better environmental management and promote awareness of sound environmental management, as well as ensure livelihood and sustainable development, ensure security and promote peace building efforts in impacted communities, and strengthen governance, transparency, and accountability in the region. And when we talk about the region, we're talking about Ogoni. And one man is responsible for doing that, and he is the second project coordinator of HYPREP. This is his 7th month in office. He is Dr. Ferdinand Gyadom. Dr. Gyadom is a holder of a Doctor of Philosophy degree in Environmental Geology and Bachelor of Science degree in Geology, both at the University of Port Harcourt, and Masters of Philosophy degree in Environmental Management from the River State University. Dr. Gyadom has over 20 years of experience in the conduct of impact assessment and baseline studies of brownfields and greenfields with tested expertise in development of conceptual site models of various environments. He has experience in evaluation of natural attenuations process and effective remediation technologies for different scenarios involving contaminants such as petroleum hydrocarbons, heavy metals, and other chemicals of concern. Dr. Gyadom is an expert in remediation project management and was a consultant with the United Nations Environment Program, UNEP, on the implementation of the UNEP report on environmental assessment of Ogoni. Dr. Ferdinand Gyadom is a member of the Nigerian Mining and Geoscience Society, Nigeria Association of Engineering, Geology, and a chartered environmental geologist. He was appointed in March. Good morning, Dr. Ferdinand Gyadom.
Good morning, my good brother Shegun. It's my pleasure being here.
First, let me congratulate you. And this congratulation is on your recent conferments of the member of the Federal MFR, member of the Order of the Federal Republic, which you amongst the about 437 Nigerians will receive this distinguished honor. And this is a very big one. And so we must congratulate you, Dr. Ferdinand Gyadon.
Thank you very much. I feel very humbled to have been given this honor by Mr. President, His Excellency Muhammadu Buhari. And it's a call to duty, call to service to my country, of which I'll give up my life to continue in this service. Thank you.
And the second congratulations is coming following the approval of federal government for the construction of phase 1 of the Ogoni Power Project. And I want us to start from that. Well, it's a big news for so many of us, the phase 1 of the Ogoni Power Project. But again, what does this entails?
Well, first of all, I give thanks to Almighty God for having made this dream something of a reality today. In the beginning, before anything was made, God said, "Let there be light." And there was light. And the light separated the void of the earth from the darkness that enveloped it. And it was within light that God now proceeded to do any other thing that he intended for the world. Having said that, in my opinion, and in the opinion of so many others, the provision of electrical power for Ogoni communities, for the entire Ogoni land, will be the beginning of socio-economic development. It will be the turning point for the development, the progress, sustainable progress for Ogoni people. For us in HYPREP, it is the STAR project, the beginning of things, of good things to come. I will say that HYPREP has ventured into implementing the recommendations of the UNEP report. And part of the things that United Nations, having studied the situations in Ogoni for over 6 decades, recommended that there should be an emergency supply of water, because it was very concerning that Ogoni people eked their living in contaminated environments, and therefore also had their sources of water in some places contaminated with contaminants of concern, certain carcinogens, to be specific, benzene, in certain Ogoni communities, and therefore recommended that an emergency potable water should be given to Ogoni communities. HYPREP within the past 2 years or 3 has started implementing this particular recommendation. And so we started with a pilot of 6 water schemes to various communities in the 4 local government areas of Ogoni. However, we later realized that the sustainability of these water schemes will greatly depend on power. And so, to move very fast, to make sure that we institute this, it became absolutely necessary that we start a project that will power the water stations once they come on stream.
So again, that is the story behind the water project now being approved by federal government. But again, I'm also interested because there are a lot of misinformation on the amount approved by federal government for this power project. We gather somewhere it's about 27 billion naira. Could you clarify how much actually did federal government approve for this power project? And again, we also gather that some list of contractors have also been approved for this power project. Clarify all of this to us.
Thank you very much. Before I proceed, I will have to say that the Ogoni people appreciate the abiding love and care of Mr. President, His Excellency Muhammadu Buhari, who did not relent in redeeming the promises he made to Ogoni people when he came on his campaign, in the initial campaign in 2015 February to Ogoni land. And anytime he sees any proposal coming from the Ogoni people, he quickly goes on to approve them. And the Ogoni Power Project is one of those that he quickly gave his assent, because he stated, and I will try to paraphrase, that he believes that this project will bring succor to Ogoni people. So on behalf of Ogoni people, I stand here today to express my eternal gratitude to the President, His Excellency Muhammadu Buhari, and also my principal, the Minister of Environment, Barrister Mohammed Hassan Abdullahi, who painstakingly worked night and day to ensure that this project proposal was approved by the Federal Executive Council. Having said that, yes, the funding for the project, for the phase one of the project, as you've heard, is not a hidden affair. It is something that was declared by the Federal Executive Council. It is something that was, of course, published in various news media. And so, the Federal Executive Council, in her wisdom, on the 21st of December, 2022, precisely at 11:30 in the morning, considered and approved the total sum of 27 billion 515 million 539 naira 410 kobo.
Okay.
For the Ogoni Power Project, phase one of the Ogoni Power Project, which entails the construction of a 132 kVA line covering a total of 62 kilometers that will bring evacuate power or connect Ogoni to the national grid. It will surprise the listeners that since the world was created and the contributions that the Ogoni land has made to the national economy, that Ogoni has never been connected to the national grid.
I know this is a big news for Ogoni people, and particularly when federal government is even saying that the completion period of this power project should be 12 months. So what we are trying to say is that by this time, December 2023, the entire Ogoni should be connected to the national grid. Is that what we're saying?
No, that is not what we are saying.
Okay.
And that is why the project has been broken down into phase one and phase two, and probably phase three. During the phase one of this project, we are going to concentrate on bringing in 132 kVA lines to two major substations.
Which are the substations now?
We have the first substation on the line at Wiyakara in Kana local government. And then the second substation at Bodo City in Gukana local government. Each of these substations shall house a 260 MVA transformer and other accessories. And I can bet you from the design, I can tell you from the design of the substations that we have, it's going to be an ultra-modern substation, fitted with all very recent technologies and all you can think of, something that we'll be proud of to have. So, well, all I will say is that my appeal to Ogoni people is that this is the beginning of great things to come.
Fantastic. And I know Ogonis are excited about that. But again, my concern is that when the minister was talking, the minister mentioned a particular entity to handle this project, and he talked about Mrs. Inagot Engineering Limited. We are talking about 27 billion naira. And who is this Inagot Engineering Limited? What link does he have with Ogoni and Ogoni people?
Thank you very much. Messrs. Enagovod Engineering Limited is the company that eventually won a competitive bid to design and build the transmission lines and substations for the Ogoni Power Project. I want to inform the general public and listeners on this program that in the course of procurement of this project, HYPREP diligently followed all laid down rules of the Public Procurement Act of 2007. We did not only do this, we also took our procurement proposals to the Bureau of Public Procurement, who are saddled with the responsibility of actually evaluating all public procurement of the federal government at a certain level. Once your procurement is beyond about 490 million naira, you are mandated by law to present your proposals to the Bureau of Public Procurement, who will do their independent evaluation of your proposals. And then, first of all, confirm that all the steps you took all the way leading to making certain recommendations or your bid evaluation report actually followed the laid down guidelines within the Public Procurement Act.
So permit me to just come in at this point, because again, you are very, very clear about that. But again, my question is, Inagot Engineering Limited, who is this personality? Is it an indigenous company? Does it have a link to Ogoni? Does it belong to Ogoni land or Ogoni people? Who are they? Or are we trying to say that no company or no personality in Ogoni land has the capacity to execute a project of this value?
Well, again, I will say that, matters concerning transmission of power in the country, of course, even matters relating to the power is on the exclusive list of the federal government. Within the Bureau of Public Procurement list of certified, and I would say that certified transmission consultants in the country, they have a certain list of people who have the expertise to actually carry out projects of this nature. I want to tell you here that at the completion of the project, the entire transmission line, because it's on the exclusive list, shall be handed over to the Transmission Company of Nigeria. And I will step back in informing that at the onset, at the earliest stage of the conceptualization of this project, HYPREP wrote a letter to the Honorable Minister of Power through the Honorable Minister of Environment, informing them about the intent of HYPREP to connecting Ogoni land to the national grid. The Honorable Minister of Power himself now referred our application to the Transmission Company of Nigeria, who set up a team of engineers that came to Ogoni land in June 2022 and spent 3 weeks in carrying out the feasibility study for this project. They went to all the kingdoms of Ogoni and then came out with a report. It is based on this report and recommendations of the Transmission Company of Nigeria that HYPREP now began the process of consulting various consultants and contractors, power contractors in the country. and top notch. Just Shegun, just let me finish.
Yes.
And then when we concluded this, all along the way, we were in constant touch with the public procurement procedures. Now, coming to your question
Yes.
about the participation of Ogoni contractors in this process, what we did was this. For the fact that the duration, the time frame for which this project has to be delivered, we put together a team of contractors, consultants into something that I will describe as a consortium. Within that consortium of 5 consultants, we have 2 Ogoni companies that are part of the consortium that actually worked together to put out this concept and the design. So as we progress, we are going to, as we go into the field, which is going to start in the next few days, we are going to introduce these consultants, especially the indigenous Ogoni companies that are in the mix. They are the ones that will take the lead in bringing out this project.
Dr. Ferdinand, we quite understand very well that HYPREP is an agency of the Federal Ministry of Environment, and we also understand that to some extent your hands are tied. But again, if you also understand the Ogoni Bill of Rights, which is given birth to all of these things we're talking about, including this power project, and one of the things that the Ogoni Bill of Rights talked about is the participation of Ogoni people and to develop the economic resources of Ogoni people. Now, again, when we are having a contract worth about 27 billion naira, and a large chunk of it is going outside. I know this is not a question for you to answer. This is a question for the federal minister to answer. But again, you are the director, and that's why we're putting you. It might look as if Shegun is trying to pin you down, but we're not trying to pin you down, but we're just trying to point out a lot of things. You're shaking your head. Maybe you want to react to that.
Yes, I will surely react.
Yes.
This is a project that was conceptualized by Ogoni people. Okay? And I will tell you that when you talk about maybe expropriation of a good chunk of that money outside Ogoni land, I will tell you that simply that is not the case.
Okay.
First of all, the procurement of these facilities, first of all, a major component of the facilities that were needed in the transmission lines are not manufactured in country. So no matter what you do, no matter who is in charge, you are going to approach your original equipment manufacturers.
But Ogonis can do that. Ogonis are capable of doing that. Ogonis are capable of sourcing for the contractors, sourcing for this equipment anywhere in the world. We have big Ogoni contractors. But again, that's not an argument for you.
Tell me,
Dr. Giano, that's not an argument for you. I wish I had the minister. I wish I had the minister sitting here.
My brother Shegun.
It would have been an argument. I know you're trying to defend your boss.
I am not defending anyone.
Yeah.
I am not defending anyone. I am simply saying that for whatever it takes, be it an Ogoni man or whosoever, these equipments are not manufactured in country. So whomsoever is saddled with the responsibility of doing this will have to go to the same international market to procure these things. Right. And I want to say again that the Bureau of Public Procurement, following the Public Procurement Act, has certainly laid down guidelines. And I know that Ogoni people are going to, I'm on the spot. Yes, I'm on the hot seat, and I'm prepared for that. They will ask these questions, the same questions you are saying. I am not saying that there are no Ogoni companies, but I am saying that the Bureau of Public Procurement has a public website with companies, transmission companies, companies that are pre-qualified to carry out transmission contracts in this country. They are listed. I want to see one. Because when it comes to transmission lines that will be handed over to the Transmission Company of Nigeria at its completion, you must be pre-qualified to be in that. You see, it is not local, it is national. And I think Ogoni is part and parcel of Nigeria. So, so I want to also say,
I want us to, because there's a lot of things we need to discuss. I want us to move away from that. But again, we must commend you for the fact that at least within your tenure, this has come to Ogoni land. That is quite commendable. And you are a proud son of Ogoni, and you have demonstrated that. But again, we just need to move ahead. I wish the minister was the one sitting here. We would have interrogated this. But again,
you will have your time with the minister. I want to say
definitely.
that you're talking about profitability because that is the bane of this project. Ogonis are the sole beneficiaries of this project.
Definitely.
Even in terms of the financial benefits that will accrue from this project, right? They are the sole beneficiaries of this project.
You know, Dr.
Today and for
I don't
tomorrow.
want us to dig deep into it because you are also an economist. You understand what I'm trying to say.
Sorry,
27 billion.
I'm a geologist.
Yes,
I have no business with economics.
By the fact that you have a PhD, you also understand a bit of economics, just as I understand rudimentary economics. When you have 27 billion naira in the hand of an Ogoni contractor, the rippling effect is huge. But let's leave that alone. Now, again, to another statement.
Shego again. I think I have to state this. You know, we have to step away from this narrative as to there is some monies that is placed in the hands of other people at the exclusive of Ogoni people. No, I already told you that we are working as a consortium. Out of a consortium of 5, we have 2 Ogoni contractors. Out of a consortium of 5. And this was carefully designed because stricto sensu, if we didn't do that, I keep telling people, go to Google the website of BPP. You will not have seen this. But there was a way we engineered this to ensure that a good percentage of this goes back to Ogoni contractors. And of course, when we are talking about this huge project, there are a lot of other subcontracting opportunities that will arise.
Fantastic. I just want us to leave because now that you're talking about funding and money, one of the things the minister also said, Mr. Abdullahi, when he was responding to whether or not IOC were involved in contribution, he said, yes, they are. And said there is a dedicated fund being superintended by the Ogoni Trust Fund, which essentially has been put together by IOC to finance the remediation project under the principle of polluters pay. Again, but let us come to the Ogoni Trust Fund. I know as at Q2 of 2008, the Ogoni Trust Fund account, which holds, and this was about $1 billion for the Ogoni Club over a 5-year period. The first tranche of $170 million was taken to kickstart remission. So what do we have in this Ogoni Trust Fund? And what interests has come to us as Ogoni people as a result of the exchange rate and increase in exchange rate? Do you have a knowledge of that?
Well, you know, the HyPrep project is structured in the way that it has certain, what I would say, management arms of the project. We have the governing council that oversees the policy drive and everyday management of the project, being chaired by the Honorable Minister and the project coordinator being the secretary of the governing council. We also have the board of trustees that superintends the Ogoni Trust Fund. And so matters relating to the funding of the project is within the purview or the responsibilities of the Board of Trustees. But all I hear most of the time, what is pondered in the news media, is that a certain $366 million.
Well, again, you've come to that because that's also an issue.
I want to say that for 5 years, as at the time I assumed the mantle of leadership of HyPrep has barely spent something just exceeding $89 million. As I sit down here speaking to you today, we have not done $100 million.
So what do we have in the Ogoni Trust Fund?
I'm not an accountant, Shego, but I am saying that we have not done $100 million. So whatever the IOCs have contributed into that purse will be less of something in the neighborhood of barely $90 million.
So what about the interests that have accrued as a result of the exchange rates? Do you have any knowledge of that?
I don't even know where this money is. It is not my duty to know where the money is, because there is an organ of the governance of HYPREP that is saddled with this responsibility. My only headache is how to properly channel funds that have been approved by the Governing Council to various projects to ensure that Ogoni people derive value for money.
But again, can you say for certainty that the IOCs have done their part, just like the minister is saying?
Yes, whenever there are cash calls, the IOCs provide the funding. And on this project, for the first time in HYPREP, when we made these proposals for the Ogoni Power Project, knowing that it is a huge project demanding huge sums of money, I was invited by the Board of Trustees to appear before it to defend this project. But again, I will state that this project was presented before the Governing Council on the 5th of August 2022. The Governing Council, sitting on the Governing Council, is the United Nations Environment Program Representation and the IOCs and other members of the Governing Council who considered this project and approved this project to be carried out by HYPREP in the 2022 fiscal year, at least to start the project in the 2022 fiscal year. And so when this project was approved, and then we made the cash call on BOT to release, because of the, let me say, in quote, the humongous sum of money that was required, for the first time, HYPREP was making that demand of a single project to that volume. And then it caused ripples within the BOT, who are the custodians of this funding, especially the IOCs. We are concerned that HYPREP is suddenly making so much demand. And so I was invited to make presentations and defend this, of which we did. We did, and we convinced the IOCs of what it took to carry out this project.
Now, we'll talk a little bit more about that, Dr. Ferdinand Gyadom, because no one is in doubt of how astute you are, particularly when it comes to this area. And again, no one is in doubt of your competence here. But again, there are some things that need to be made clear to the Ogoni people. For example, you've just talked about the issue of $366 million. I realize that a group known as Ogoni Liberation Initiative, OLI, led by Dr. Douglas Fabeke, made that allegation in the news. That so far there is a disappearance, let me put it that way, of 366, which you said it is not true. But again, there are also insinuations that all of this power project thing, 27 billion naira, it's also another excuse to fund the coming election. Again,
never.
Fantastic. Let us just leave it like that, because I'm going to engage the callers, and a lot of people are waiting to join us, and we also have a lot of comments on the social media. If you're tuning, you're listening to us, and I'm speaking to Dr. Ferdinand Gyadom. Dr. Ferdinand Gyadom is the project director of HYPREP. Beyond the hypes, what are the substance on ground after 11 years of UNEP report concerning Ogoni cleanup? And again, we are asking the questions this morning. Are you satisfied so far? How has the project fared? What are the flops? What are the fears? And what are the level of faith you have? Now, the numbers to call us, 07050791021 and 081-174-31021 and 09039848244. We'll be engaging more. Dr. Ferdinand Gyadom. Well, quickly, let's take this first set of calls. Good morning, and thank you for joining us. This is Point Blank on Super FM. Hello, good morning. Hello.
Kennedy Friday.
Kennedy Friday, good morning.
Yes,
we can
my
hear
name
you.
is Kennedy Friday. I'm from Port Harcourt.
Fantastic, Kennedy.
Okay, so let me start by greeting my brother in the studio, Dr. Ferdinand. I like the intellectual approach he has brought to bear on the management of HYPREP.
Thank you.
And I think that he has done well in that regard. Secondly, I also want to commend him and, of course, Dr. Mike Nwiyalagi and all Ogoni people on that board for the provision of electricity. And I believe that they will follow it up methodically to ensure that that approval actually gets on the ground and people actually get electricity in the area as a fallout of the implementation of your report on Ogoniland. The third thing I want to say is very important. People have been talking about the provision of water in Ogoniland, but I think that the water that many people are talking about appears tokenistic, and nothing shows that it will be sustainable. The water that was already approved cannot be sustainable. So I want to appeal to Dr. Ferdinand Giandom that is in the studio, that in his characteristic way of going for what is qualitative, what is good, what is sustainable, he should ensure that the comprehensive water plan that was designed when Amina was Minister of Environment, that design has already been made, the company is there, everything is there. Instead of doing this kind of borehole that we have always have littered everywhere in Ogoni that is not sustainable, let us have an integrated water supply, because Ogoni land is very small. This thing has been done in Zaria. It has been done in Israel.
All right,
it has been
Friday,
done in
we thank you so much for your observations.
Larger landmass.
Thank you so much.
Just 4 LGAs.
Thank you so much, Kennedy Friday. Let's take this one now. Good morning, and thank you for joining us. Point blank. Hello.
Good morning, Pastor Shego Gulabi.
Good morning, sir.
I greet the erudite doctor in the studio, my brother and leader of the Ogoni people. Chief Dr. Ferdinand Giandom, FM Arrow. Good morning, sir. There, sir.
There and Nauga.
Yes, my name is Royal Chief Ambassador Magnus Edo.
And thank you for joining us.
My Royal Chief, I greet you very specially.
Thank you, though. Let me, on behalf of the Council of Chiefs in Kwawa community, to congratulate you for your landmark achievement, mostly concerning this power project. Our people will do more engagement with you, so that you will more advocacy to do concerning when people hear about millions. Their mind will be that this money is meant to share. But the money is not in your pocket, even as you are in the studio. The money is not in your pocket. So we do more advocacy as traditional rulers, more engagement will be done so that our youth will understand that things are being done by milestones. But
so, Royal Magnus, your question, sir. Let's just go straight to your question, because we have other people.
I'm asking a question. My question is that the bottleneck, the bureaucratic bottleneck that has been affecting other procedures, will it not as well affect?
All right, you're talking about bureaucracy concerning the water power project work. Thank you so much. I think your point is made. Let's take this one. Good morning, and thank you so much for joining us. This is Point Blank.
Yeah, good morning, Shego, and compliment of the season.
Good morning, sir.
Yeah, my name is Comrade Nathan Barry Sunday, President of the Time and Tone for River Southeast. Yeah.
Thank you so much, sir.
Yeah, I'm calling from Bori.
Good.
Yeah, I greet your guest in the studio. Good morning.
I greet you, my brother Litan.
Yeah. My concern is this. I know with your presence since you assumed office, it's like I've been hearing positive statements so far. And I know that the previous problem we were having in High Prep is mostly the water supply, which has been the major concern of the Ogoni people, which is part of the UNEP recommendation. Out of that, I know most people who has been in the position of High Prep coordinator has always been very good in analyzing. They can analyze when they come to studio. They will tell you all the best they've put in place. At the end of the day, you will see that when they got home, it will just be a joke of the season. One of the problems the previous
so,
coordinator...
could you just ask a question so that we can move on?
Yeah, my question is this. You talk about enrolling the Ogoni people in national grid through power. You know, when we talk about national grid, it's not just like this NEPA light we are having that comes once in 1 month and they collect a full month's payment. I want to ask, is it the national grid that the Ogoni people will see that really we are really connected to the national grid, or the ones who will do, and it will be a moribund?
All right,
That's
thank
my
you so much.
question.
A fantastic question you have there, and we'll take this. Hello, good morning, and thank you so much for joining us. This is Point Blank. Good morning.
Good morning, Shegun.
Thank you for joining
This is
us.
Barry from Port Harcourt.
Barrington, good morning.
Yeah, good morning, Dr. Fedi, the rabbi.
Good morning, my
Yeah,
brother.
so I'll just stick to the question. I join others to congratulate Dr. Fedi for the work he has done in high prep. But I just want to go straight to the question. And the question is, I know in the process of procurement and getting contractors, he may not be overly in charge of that. But what are the methodologies? What are the systems that you are putting in place in high prep to ensure that contractors that may not be solely qualified, that may have gotten to the stage of, the contract, that must have gotten the contract, do their job in the light of international standard and not like a wheelbarrow and shovel remediation? What are those processes?
All right, thank you so much for that. Thank you so much.
Thank
Now, we'll
you.
just take one last one before we allow the project coordinator to answer all the questions. Good morning, and thank you for joining us, Point Blank.
Good morning, Comrade Shegun.
Thank you so much for joining us.
First, let me wish you Happy New Year in advance.
Thank you so much.
Let me also thank you very immensely for the beautiful work you're doing for humanity. I greet your guest in the studio. My name is Otiasa Christian Livingston. I'm a Sekuman.
Otiasa, good morning.
Mr. Shegun, in doing so, I want to observe something. In the course of this project, I want the Ogoni people to adopt this character that everybody is their own. They should not begin to segregate one as their own and the other as not their own. I want to thank the first project coordinator, Dr. Dekil, for the scientific justification he was able to place that brought about the widespread water project. I have read the Ogoni UNEP reports, and Insisio-Ken was the major point that was mentioned. And from there, he was able to exploit the leeway to provide a scientific justification for expanding the water project. Whether that project has come to be or not is a different category. Now, Shegun, we asked the coordinator how much is being spent, how much is being left. And his answer was very straight. He said he's not an accountant. I do not know how that answer suffices for a project coordinator who goes to the board and different approval powers to approve different projects that is doing. I am not saying he must be held accountable for every one couple figures, but that he should have a knowledge of the range of money the project he coordinates has spent and what is left. That is one side. So, in all we are doing, I've always said this, the Ogoni High Prep project is a gateway to so many other environmental remediations in the Niger Delta. It should be looked and viewed beyond Ogoni. And therefore, I am asking, I am demanding, I am praying that Niger Delta people should rally around this project so that the scope is expanded to a full-fledged commission, not a table, not an issue just on the decks of an environmental minister. It is such that if legislations are done to back it as a full commission, then we can now be safe to say that the first child has worked well, and therefore subsequent children will not have a disease condition. Anything that is not done that way will not yield results, the desired result for the Niger Delta people. I wish you well and God bless you.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. So again, let us allow the project coordinator to respond to all the questions now. Yes, sir.
Thank you, my brother Shegun. Yes, the first question was asked by Mr. Friday, talking about water schemes sustainability. From the day one of my assumption of duty, one of the first things that I did a careful deep dive into was the water schemes. I did this because provision of potable water to Ogoni people was given an emergency status in among the recommendations of United Nations Environment Program. And that is why, From my day one in office, I evaluated the sustainability of the six existing water schemes. And that was what, that was the bedrock of my conceptualization of the Ogoni Power Project. And I dare say that the Ogoni Power Project, once constructed and commissioned, will provide the sustainability of these water schemes. Beyond that, we've gone ahead to provide other additional appurtenances that will make these water schemes to be sustainable. We are quite aware of several water schemes that have been provided by government in Ogoniland and other parts of the Delta, and why they failed. Even before I assumed duty as the project coordinator, I am a chartered hydrogeologist. I've done series of research on the state of the water within Ogoniland and the Niger Delta. We've interrogated various water schemes, previous water schemes, and why they became moribund. In order to make the Ogoni water scheme sustainable, we had to first of all isolate all the factors that contributed in the past to making previous water schemes to fail, and then moved ahead to do everything to ring-fence our water project, the Ogoni water projects, from these factors that will lead to failure. I want to ask Ogoni people to give us the benefit of doubt. We've been here for just this period, 7-8 months.
Yeah.
And we are putting down schemes, we are putting down strategies to ensure that when we deliver these water schemes, they are sustainable in perpetuity. And when we are talking about water schemes, we mean potable water. Water is of various quality for various purposes. But when you talk about potable water, they have certain characteristics. We are going to supply water that meets up the WHO drinking water standard.
So
that will also meet up the national guidelines for drinking water.
If I may come in on this juncture, of course, no one is in doubt of your desire. But again, a lot of people are a little bit, thinking when the Minister for Environment, for example, said the ministry has spent 3 billion naira to construct 6 water supply schemes with capacity to supply about 2,400 metric ton of potable water per day. Again, that's huge sum of money. 3 billion. Where are the water schemes?
Yes, thank you very much. If you are looking in the right direction, you will see the water schemes. Of the 6 water schemes, 5 of them were built ground up. That is, these are new water schemes. Okay? And I will say that, well, as you say, Rome was not built in a day. In the coming months, and it is my desire that by January, the very next month, which begins from tomorrow, before the end of January, we should be able to start to commission these water projects. Number 1, the water project in Barako, in Gokana local government, constructed by GeoQuest Integrated Services Limited, is over 98% completed. All that we are going to do is just to put the icing on the cake and turn up the taps, and water will flow in Barako community as a starting point. This water is being reticulated to other communities that are contiguous to Barako. The reticulation process is ongoing in Gokana. And I want to state here that just like the case that we have in Barako, you see, the cooperation of the community, and I must at this point thank the paramount ruler of Barako, His Royal Highness Mene Kadilu Kabari, who at all times supports HYPREP and supports the contractor, provides a conducive environment for them to work and to achieve the required objectives. You see, in Barako community, in JoQuest, covering the area of Barako and Bidre, we have a total reticulation distance of 40 kilometers. That is no mean feat. I know that people are desirous of having these projects delivered on time and on cost and on target. Of course, you know, we are progressing and will continue to progress. Beyond Barako, we also have Jokoy Environmental Services that is delivering this water in Kana local government, and the Bori area, the Pea and the Zakma areas will be covered by this. We have Dulis Dredging and Construction Limited in Eleme that will supply water beneficiary communities in Nogali and Ebubu. We have Elsonic Integrated Services Resources Limited that will cover Tirabo and Biara with the total reticulation distance of about 80.1 kilometers. We have Ashkelon Integrated Services in Korokoro and Nowa in local government, reticulation distance of 56 kilometers. And then Kobev International Limited in Eleme with a total reticulation distance of 45 kilometers. So with all this, I still crave the indulgence of Ogoni people that this is just the beginning of these water projects that is designed not to cover only impacted communities, but to cover both impacted communities and non-impacted communities. This is just the phase one. And when you talk about 3 billion, the 3 billion funding you're talking about, of course, like I say again, I will respond to somebody asking as a project coordinator, and I say I'm not an accountant. I want to state here that the 3 billion, or the monies that have been assigned to each of these water schemes, is not entirely for the construction.
Okay, so
we have set apart some percentage of the funding for the continuous management and training of community members who will actually run these water schemes after it has been constructed and handed over. And I want to say that provision of this water is not just...
You're talking about the training. Is it also part of the funding?
It's part of the... Where will you train people from? That is just one part of it.
Okay.
Then you have to talk about the water treatment.
Okay.
Of course, we are not just taking raw water and delivering to communities. These waters are being treated. And the cost of treatment, I also tell you, is part of these overall sums that you are talking about. And it's not for one day. It is for a sustained period of time. We have to talk about, as at now, there is no power in Ogoni. And then the various power plants that power these water schemes have to be energized by fueling. And I tell you, that is not cheap. In the station being run by Kobev International Limited in Eleme has about, I think, 250 kVA generator. Yeah? To power that generator for one day, it takes over 200 liters of diesel. Do your math. The price of diesel per liter. And we have to do this on a daily basis. Okay? Fueling alone, fueling the generators that power these plants alone, you can agree with me, will go up nothing less than 2 million naira monthly. And that is why we are saying that we are in a hurry to bring on the Ogoni Power Project that will now reduce the overhead cost of running these stations. So I want people to, of course, in an area like Ogoni that has been economically depressed for so long, when you hear 100 million, you hear about 1 billion. Even myself sitting down here, it's been. But when you go into, that's why I said I'm not an accountant. But when you go into the nitty-gritty of the requirements for running these stations per day and delivering portable quality water to the communities, you will find out that in the grand scheme of things, the money just fizzles right out.
Dr. Ferdinand, I would like to take some comments coming in from the social media. And also, you were talked about the issue of the electricity, but I just wanted to add this to it. And we have Solomon Lenu. Solomon Lenu sent us comments. And again, we want to advise some of our listeners. Please, you can also join us on social media. We cannot entertain all the calls. You can join us on Facebook. On Facebook, it is Super93.3. And I can assure you that we will take all the comments on the social media. Now, Solomon Lenu said, unfortunately, HYPEP only started working for the interest of Goni people where Dr. Ferdinand Gyadom MFR came on board. The previous management were working for themselves and some politicians brought them into the project. That's why it's still looking as though the project is slow because the current PC had to start laying the proper foundation, which ought to have been done before now. There is also the contract for local security and surveillance that has been graciously approved by Federal Executive Council, which and when this takes off, a lot of youth in the land will benefit, and the issue of livelihood improvement will be domesticated in all HYPEP under the current management has been positioned to benefit Ogoni people, and Ogonis must do everything to support the PC and the management, and God bless it. Now, this is very huge because one of the things I want to talk about is also included there. But let me just quickly take this call, Dr. Ferdinand Gyadom, if you don't mind. Hello, good morning, and thank you so much for joining us, Point Blank.
Yeah, good morning. And Happy New Year in advance, Segun.
Thank you so much, sir.
Project coordinator, good morning and Happy New Year.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, my
Comrade Menele Nyadan Nzide is my name.
Comrade Nzide, good morning.
Segun, my own is very straight and to the point. Like I always say, I am an outstanding Ogoni man who contributed to the foundational fundraising of the Ogoni struggle. I just want to make this point more clearer to the entire Ogoni ethnic nationality. The project coordinator by bureaucratic provision, hello?
We're with you. Go ahead, sir.
It's a department under the Federal Ministry of Environment and is answerable to the minister by every standard. We have our sons and daughters on the governing board of HYPEP and the other board, trustee board. They are the people that are supposed to be the watchdog on the activities of the minister and the project coordinator and report back to the Ogoni people. From the first board to the second board, Segun, you need to bring this, our representative, on the studio, on the radio there, and leave the innocent project coordinator because it's answerable by the civil service rules to his boss. That is the department under Federal Ministry of Environment. We have our sons and daughters on that place, at that place that they should be accountable to the people. Unfortunately, you see Ogoni men and women flying on the wings of the Ogoni people and cannot be accountable to the people and continue to be that they are independent of their own. There shall be a time that this shall never be repeated in the Ogoni land. Our fallen heroes that died for the sake of the Ogoni people on this project are crying in wherever they find themselves. And every day we come to be happy.
Okay.
That man is innocent. Maybe he tried his best. I came 1 month ago to the new office and I entered their shop. I asked the staff, is this our permanent site? Is it a permanent? He said, no, it's on red. I said, why? And I quantified the money that he paid on red here. Vis-a-vis what could have been putting up a building for the Ogoni ethnic national on this HYPEP.
Okay, Comrade Menegden,
so what I'm saying in summary, Segun,
yes.
You know, I don't want to be talking this. You need to bring people like us there so that we can have 5 full time to talk on this project.
Okay.
What I'm saying is that Ogoni people should question those that are representing us. They are independently minded as supposed to represent Ogoni people and not the project coordinator that is an arm of the Federal Ministry.
Fantastic. Comrade Menegden, thank you so much, and I think we understand your bias there.
Him so much. I congratulate him for the effort you're putting in place for the time being. Congratulations, PC.
Yeah.
Well,
thank you very much, Comrade Miller Lindsay.
PC, just permit me. Let me just take this one again.
Just hold on,
The call is already on. The call is already on.
Just hold on, Shego.
Just
you know,
30 seconds.
There were questions that were asked.
PC, 30 seconds. Let's take this on. Good morning.
Okay.
And just make it 30 seconds, please. Good morning.
My name is Comrade Oscar.
Okay, 30 seconds, please.
I am the President Pastor Initiative for Community Development Initiative. I want to greet my brother in the studio. Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Mr. Frank, take a second, but let me just see I can manage it. In the first place, I am one of those that appreciated the comment of an Ogoneman as the project coordinator. It was in this that made me actually withdraw my suit against the Minister of Nigeria, the Minister of Environment, that I took to court. When he came in, hello, sir.
Go ahead, we're listening.
But when he came in and then took over as the project coordinator, because of an ongoing man, I withdrew. But I later realized that him there in the studio, Ferdinand, was also part of those that were criticizing Dr. Marvin Dekki, and also made so many, putting so many effort to make the stay of Dr. Marvin Dekki not favorable in his time.
Well, that's an allegation. That's an allegation you need to substantiate.
He's there to defend it. He's there to defend it. And at the same time, because of that, immediately he took over as the project coordinator. A lot of people was also against him. I want to ask him in the studio as the project coordinator. Some of those projects he's carrying out today, like the electricity and all that, which is also a good one, that was not part of the process that he has involved in the system, is a good one. Why has he failed in the issue of livelihood?
Okay,
why
fantastic.
Is he always sponsoring?
Oscar,
why is he always sponsoring?
maybe Oscar, just hold on. Hold on.
Why is he always sponsoring other going youth that want to speak about the ill treatment? The fact that the project coordinator is not innocent in anything according to Maryland today. He's not innocent.
All right, thank you so much.
For the failure of that process.
Thank you so much, Oscar. Oscar, just calm down, because you seem to be angry. But again, PC, maybe PC, you just calm down. Let me just also take another 30 seconds so that you can put together all your thoughts. Good morning, and thank you for joining us.
Good morning.
Yes.
My name is Chief Gani Toba.
Yes.
From Ogoniland. My question is very simple.
Hello. Okay, we lost Gani Toba there, but PC, go ahead, sir.
Yes, thank you very much. I crave your indulgence to respond to the previous question so that we can make a rapid progress.
Yes.
Yeah, the second question, because I've talked about water schemes and sustainability that was asked by the first interrogator, if we want to what to say, Mr. Friday. The second question asked by the Royal Chief, His Highness Magnus Edo, talked about bureaucracy that seems to bog down the progress of the project. I will dare say that bureaucracy in itself is not evil, because for a complex project such as this, there has to be checks and balances and different levels of approvals. What we have to say is that, well, if plans are conceived early enough and sent through the bureaucratic process and carefully followed, as we are doing, we will find a way of fast-tracking the delivery of the project for the benefit of the people. And the next question came from Mr. Litanbari Friday. Well, he still talked about his major concern as a water supply. I think I've given some good information about that. He also talked about the national grid being actually the national grid. Sometimes I sit back and I ask myself, what has happened since the past 60 years, that in spite of Ogoni contributing significantly to the national pulse, was not connected to the national grid? We have the Afam power plant, less than 7 kilometers from Ogoni, supplying power to the entire country. But Ogoni still lay in darkness. And so, all of a sudden, we are going to be connected to the national grid within the next 12 months. And even as I sit down here, sometimes it appears as a dream. But I should tell my brother, Litan Barry Friday, that this is a dream that is soon to be realized. And so we will be on the national grid, all right. And we are evacuating 132 kVA light in power into Ogoniland. And from that, 33 kVA will be evacuated to all the 6 kingdoms of Ogoniland, and from there to all communities. And of course, you know that 33 kVA power is the industry grade power. Sure. What we are enjoying currently is 11 kVA that does not power most equipment. So with the 33 kVA, any industrial concern, any industrial equipment can actually be powered by this. And this is actually going to lead to the development of several cottage industries. And part of our plan is to stimulate agro-allied industries in Ogoniland that will lead to, that will actually process and preserve agricultural produce. I want to tell you that the volume of corn that is lost yearly is saddening. Farmers in Ogoniland, if they produced, let me just for point of illustration, if they produce 10 tons of corn per year, they barely actually sell or use about 7 tons. The rest, or about 3 tons, the rest 7 is wasted. And so if we can harness this through processing and agro-allied industries, you will see that there will be an actual leap in economic growth and development amongst all other agro-allied processing that can take place in the place. The next question was from Barry Tonzabi, talking about procurement methods and pre-qualification of contractors. We are ensuring that we follow the Public Procurement Act to ensure that only qualified contractors from this point forward, are involved in the High Prep project. My brother, Mr. Otuasa Livingstone, asked particularly, he quipped how I could be a project coordinator, saddle responsibility of superintending the activities of High Prep without knowing how much is being spent. Perhaps he didn't listen, or perhaps he had not tuned in when we gave an account of the project to our listeners. And I said, and I still say, that as at today, something just in the neighborhood of $90 million have been expended on the project. For the past 5 years, High Prep had not expended, just before I assumed responsibility. For the past 5 years, High Prep has only expended something in the neighborhood of $89 million.
Doctor, when you spoke on that, I was silent because, again, I have a statistics, and the statistics by the National Petroleum Investment Management Services disclosed that about $99 million was spent on Ogoni Cleanup as at the end of 2021. So when you said so, I said, okay, let's leave it at that, because you have also said that within the period that you came into office, nothing substantial has been spent. But again, the statistics I have shows that about $99 million has been spent. But again, we need to move a little bit faster now, because again, the minister also said that about more than 300 new sites have been discovered. And I don't know how that came up. Maybe you want to tell us a little bit about that. And again, the gentleman that spoke, Imebe Oscar, also spoke. While we also, don't forget, Comrade Mele Denzide was very appreciative of the work you are doing as a project coordinator. But again, is not too happy with the members of the Board of Trustee, BOT of High Prep. Maybe we will find time to bring some of them to come up to talk to us. Actually, we were expecting to have maybe chairman of the Board of Trustee to speak to them. But again, that is by the side. You want to clarify on all of this, particularly these new sites?
Yes, before I do that, let me try to profile some answers to pending questions. Comrade Oscar talked about the project coordinator, myself, Dr. Giadon Ferdinand, critiquing the project. I would like to inform the entire public that myself and my good friend and brother, Dr. Marvin Dekil, we are part of the original team that did the Ogoni assessment under United Nations Environment Program. Both of us have details of the state of the Ogoni environment. And both of us also have access to what needed be done. When he was in the saddle as the project coordinator, I don't want to expand on this, but I just want to make certain points clear. I was a consultant to the United Nations Environment Program, and I had certain mandates to carry out. The United Nations Environment Program birthed this project, the High Prep project. And there are certain requirements, minimum requirements that they expect. My duty, as at the time, remained in interrogating the project, the performances of the project according to a certain checklist, and presenting that report to the United Nations Environment Program in Geneva. I did that on a weekly basis. And it is out of the report, and of course, I submit myself to be interrogated by anyone in my performances and in my utterances, to saying that I do my duties as required by my employers on a day-to-day basis. It is not only United Nations that made these statements. Even Ogoni people themselves said that the project was not being advanced in the right direction. We all agreed. For instance, there is no excuse, even as of now, even under my watch, there are certain things that I would have loved to do yesterday that till today I'm still struggling to do because of various reasons. The provision of water was an emergency measure. And if it was an emergency measure, in December 2010, that was when we discovered benzene in waters in Institute Keogali. And from December 2010, we all agreed that the provision of potable water to Ogoni communities should be treated as an emergency measure. Fast forward to now, and we are still talking about the first schemes and all the things that we are doing.
Beg your pardon, Dr. Ferdinand. I know that you would have you'd love to clarify all of those things, but again, we don't have enough time on our hands. I wish we could just manage our time. By now, we should have been getting another guest into this. But again, because of the importance of this program, we just need to continue. So I just want us to move ahead to contemporary issues. Let's not go back to all of this. Yes.
Thank you.
So again, I'm talking about the new sites.
I will tell Comrade Oscar it's within his rights to also criticize me. There is nobody I'm not God. No one is God. No one claims to be all-knowing and all-powerful and omniscient. And so it is out of these criticisms. There is no criticism that I describe as negative or positive or constructive or destructive. Criticisms are the things that put you on your toes. I welcome it. I welcome all the opprobrium and the flagellations that I receive, because I have offered myself for public service. Once you are a public servant, you are not a private citizen. There is no how you can perform to the satisfaction of all and sundry.
Fantastic.
Even people, if they have the opportunity, they will query God.
So, Dr. Gedon, let's come to these new sites. Let's come to these new 300 sites now. Yes, where are they? And why are we just discovering them?
The United Nations Environment Program, that I'm always proud to be associated with, carried out the investigation of all impacted sites around Ogoni land. They started this program since 2006, but we went to the field in 2009. And by the end of 2010, we have completed our field assessments. And then the report was now released 8 months later, on August 4th, 2011. Between 2011 till today, there had been several other oil spills. These oil spills are referred to as the undocumented spills, because these spills happened post-UNEP, after UNEP has left the field, completed their task. Even as we speak today, these accidents constantly happen, right? So what happened was that when the federal government invited the United Nations Environment Program back into the HYPREP process, they retained my services as their consultant. I was saddled with the responsibility of investigating the state of the Ogoni environment as at today, or as at the time. We went to the field in 2019, collected data from the major oil operators in the region, and then went to site to verify all the areas that we've had extra oil spills after the United Nations have completed their work. And I must state that the number of oil spills that you state here is what has happened over the past 11 years. And I must say, even in the very recent times, there have been different instances. So I will state here that we have to endeavor, every party we have to endeavor that we reduce oil spills as much as possible.
Fantastic.
Because we cannot continue to say that we are mopping the floor and with the faucet still open and water
Actually, on that, I would like to speak on Buddha, but before we come to that, if you're just tuning in, you're listening to Point Blank, and we're speaking to Dr. Ferdinand Jadam. Dr. Ferdinand Jadam is the project coordinator of HYPREP, Hydrocarbon Pollution and Remediation Project, HYPREP, and we are asking the questions this morning beyond the hype. Beyond what the news are saying, what are the facts on ground? It is now 11 years after the UNEP report and 7 months of Dr. Jadam on the saddle. What are the visible facts on the ground? What are the flops? What are the fears? What are the fates? And what are your beliefs in the management of this project? And we're speaking to Dr. Ferdinand Jadam. I'm just going to take 3 calls, and I will advise my callers to make it very, very short because several other questions and several other areas we would love to get to this morning. Good morning, and thank you for joining us. This is Point Blank.
Good morning, Shegun Owulabi.
Good morning
to Dr. Ferdinand Jadam, the PC, HYPREP. My name is Mishak. I'm calling you from Transamadi. Incidentally, Mishak, yes. PC, I will commend you for the peer review, the scrutiny, the open door policy you have adopted. Recall that this process is not carried out alone by HYPREP. There are several critical stakeholders like the regulators, CSO, civil society organizations, and even communities that are participating in the soil monitoring cleanup, and including the pre-scat or the scat activity that is about to commence. And I must commend you, including even the monitoring of the livelihood programs and even the provision of water. I must commend you. I must commend you. I want you to please educate the public on the importance of that activity. Why do you open your doors? Okay. Why do you open your doors? And finally, my appeal is that on the aspect of other monitoring activities, stakeholders, especially the civil society organizations, like my organization, the Center for Environment, Human Rights and Development, and the SDN, are actually involved in. I want you to please open your doors more, because there are times we want to go to field for certain monitoring, and there are these no access, the restrictions that are not helping us very well in carrying out on our independent investigation. Please.
Thank you so much, Michelle.
I want you to open your door more. Please make the process a bit seamless for us. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And I'm just going to take another one here quickly to this one. Yes, and let's take this one. Good morning, and thank you for joining us, Point Blank.
Yeah, good morning, Shegun, and good morning, Dr. Ferdinand in the studio. My name is Dr. Vigale Gianban.
Doctor, good morning.
From Rumola.
Yes, your question,
yeah.
sir.
Good morning, my brother.
I'm calling actually as a person, not an Ogoni man, not affiliated to any organization.
Good.
So first and foremost, Dr. Ferdinand, I want to congratulate you and also say that I want to really know from you, we are entering 2023 now, what are the lofty plans that HYPREP has on grant for the year 2023? I observed over the period that there are a lot of good plans and projects of HYPREP, but we don't really see a timeline to it and when each of these things will be carried out and when they be completed.
Fantastic.
One of the key performance indicators for you, which I think at the end of the year 2023, we're going to judge you by is what we're able to achieve in 2023. So could you just tell us some of the plans and milestones?
Lofty plans, milestone, and timelines.
And we can use that. Yeah, I can use that to judge you at the end of 2023. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Doctor. And let me just take one last one. Good morning, and thank you for joining us, Point Blank.
Good morning, Pastor Shegun.
Otiesa Christian, you're back.
Yes, thank you for this second opportunity. It's a friendly one in any case. I just want to find out from that. You know that environmental management of any, particularly remediation, is a field-based work, and they are not things that come up every other day. I want to know if there is any provision for students to have opportunity of this process to learn. That is what I want to know. Then number two, on a very humble note, I want to advise that he reduces his use of personal pronouns with I. I think for teamwork, for the purposes of teamwork, we should be better.
All right,
thank you so much. I wish you well.
Fantastic. Okay, so Dr. Ferdinand, pieces. Let's go straight. Maybe you might just want to start with Dr. Jadam, who said that just give us timelines. What should Ogonis expect 2023? And according to him, you will be judged and you'll be held liable for these timelines and milestones.
Yeah, thank you very much. We have to dare to dream. Without dream, life is a broken winged bird that cannot fly. Yes, we have put in some good plans for immediate implementation. Following immediately on this Ogoni Power project that has been approved by the Federal Executive Council is the Ogoni Specialist Hospital. The specialist hospital has been conceived, designed, and the procurement process commenced. We expect to have this approval again in the next few weeks, as soon as...
Few weeks.
Yes,
So we're looking at January, February.
We're looking at January, February.
That's
yeah.
good.
Well, yeah, I know that we are gradually sliding into the
Election.
political area, electioneering period, where a lot of things are pushed to the back burner. But these things are almost ready. The Ogoni Specialist Hospital was conceived to deal with certain special ailments that could emanate from chronic exposures to petroleum hydrocarbon contaminants of concern. You know, in the Ogoni area, we see cases of very debilitating illnesses that oftentimes end in death. And we don't actually know exactly the causes of this. But we feel like it is known all over the world, communities that have been exposed to this are usually environmentally depressed and also impacts on public health. And that was why we conceived this to proffer some solution to these unasked questions. Why are Ogoni people dying in their numbers? The Ogoni women used to be very fecund. Fecundity means the ability of taking in and keeping pregnancies.
Yes.
And we are seeing something from just some casual observations that there seems to be an issue with this. We are beginning to see an increase in organ failures around Ogoni land. There have been studies that have been carried out by the University of Port Harcourt in terms of the incidence of cancers in this area when compared to the University Hospital Ibadan, because that provides another catchment. And if you go to do a deep dive in this, you will now find out that there are certain things that does not really follow.
So maybe we just need to move ahead, because I know that there are different components, particularly the one that handle medical. I'm aware that maybe some other day will be hosting them. So let's still talk about the timelines.
So that is what we have.
The Ogoni Medical Center.
I've already said that the specialist hospital.
The specialist hospital.
There's another cottage hospital that is coming on stream very soon.
Also this year?
Yeah, in 2023. We have a specialist hospital, and then we have a cottage hospital.
Yes.
Then that is to take care of public health. Then talking about the Center for the Center of Environmental Excellence in Remediation. The procurement of that center is also ongoing, and we also expect that before the end of the first quarter of 2023, with the political climate permitting, we will be able to also bring that on stream. Beyond these intensive capital projects, we also have other schemes, particularly in livelihoods.
We talked about the issue of the security, which is also part of the livelihood.
That's part of it.
Some of the things.
That was where I was coming. And you know, the Federal Executive Council within the past 1 month has also approved that 500 Ogoni youths be engaged on the project as environmental vanguards. And of course, by the first week of January, we'll start to action this, and you will see 500 Ogoni youths who are working hand in hand with HYPREP to ensure that our sites are secure, to ensure that they are in the communities doing the actual work of surveillance, of being the vanguards of HYPREP projects.
Now, let me just quickly mention here, Dr. Where maybe we'll be having another series of this, because I know that we usually have a person in charge of the livelihood. I think Mrs. Madian, I think, yes. Maybe we'll have some of them in the studio to explain all of this to us. But again, let's just move on. I have about 10 minutes. I just have about 10 minutes more, yes.
Shego, you know, matters of high prep is something that concerns Ogoni people very deeply.
Yes, very,
Or
very.
that not only Ogoni people, peoples of Niger Delta and international communities. These issues have to be clarified. We also have, trainings that is designed for the aviation industry, where we intend to have Ogoni young men and women who will be cabin and crew personnel, air traffic controllers, and air ticketing officers, and all that. That training is imminent to come on stream. We also have a program for 100 seafarers.
Is that coming up stream this year?
It's coming on stream this year.
Yes.
This year we have few hours left.
Oh my God. Okay. Well, I mean 2023.
By the beginning of 2023.
Okay.
We have programs for seafaring. We have programs for mechatronics. We also have programs for creative arts. As I speak with you, some Ogoni youths are actually on set shooting movies according to certain Ogoni themes. I think Ogoni movie industry practitioners, something like that.
Yeah.
They approached High Prep and presented one fantastic proposal, and we supported them. And it's going to premiere.
In all of this,
it's going to premiere very soon. I'm so proud. I'm sorry. Somebody said that I'm using the first person personal.
Okay,
pronouns.
we.
It's okay. Yes. Please,
so we are proud.
Please forgive me. I don't know. Well, it's
okay,
we.
Let me just.
Anytime we hear I, please forgive me. Everybody has its own flowers.
Let me just come to this.
And replace that with we.
Let me just come to this. In all of these beautiful things you've talked about, the minister said something last week. The minister said litany of litigation from Ogoni indigents is affecting the process of high prep functioning. And this is big. Actually, Chief Gani Toba had called us, and I was excited at the call, but unfortunately, we lost the call midway, and I'm hoping Chief Gani Toba is listening, because the minister actually mentioned a group known as Good Conscience of Ogoni. I know Gani Toba leads Conscience of Ogoni people, and I'd wanted to ask Gani Toba if he was the one the minister was referring to. But again, maybe this is an opportunity for you to clarify. The minister said Good Conscience of Ogoni people. That's the name, but I know Gani Toba's organization is Conscience of Ogoni people. I don't know, is there similarity? Is it the same? Who are these other people who have gone to court to challenge the process of high prep? Ogonis.
Well, from the inception of the high prep project, it has always been having some litigation issues coming from various quarters. Yeah, this is a project that is very, very dear to Ogoni people, and a lot of people are interested at various levels. And yes, there are times that people are forced or prompted to seek the courts on certain matters concerning the project. Again, I will say that when High Prep intends to carry out certain projects, the issues of litigation arising from Ogoni, somewhat slow down the progress of the project. For instance, the High Prep project is being superintended from various quarters. There are different levels of approvals, and these are corporate entities. Mm-hmm. Once they hear that there's a litigation about a certain process, they stop for not wanting to fall foul of the judiciary. Something like holding the contempt of court, and these organizations could be faulted for having proceeded on certain matters that are under litigation. So once these things happen, the process slows down. And I dare say that the 14 water schemes that were designed to supply water to about 68 Ogoni communities is being bogged down by these litigations, right? Litigations.
Could you want to mention the litigations in specifics?
Litigations are coming from various quarters. And not in specifics, it's coming from various quarters.
Okay,
not
if
one,
you say from various quarters.
Not one, not one. So, but as far as I'm concerned, whenever people are concerned, it's within their rights to seek redress wherever. And the High Prep also, though High Prep, I'm told, is not a juristic person, will approach other levels of the project, like the federal ministry that has these things, to help us respond to the issues in the courts. So we have a legal unit that most of the time bring to our notice whenever we have issues of litigation against the project or against our intentions. we will try as much as possible to do what we can to dispense with this. Then, Utuasa specifically stated that the issue of remediation is a field-based initiative that he mentioned that students should be involved.
Students would be encouraged, yes.
As we speak, we have about close to 90 students in on our internship programs, and they are trained in various aspects of remediation. Every year, every season, we have on students from various institutions in the country that come to have their internships from 3 months to sometimes 1 year, where these students are trained, 100 IT students. We have 3 PhD students that are also attached and are engaged on various aspects of the project. So the question of internship, training, capacity building for students is encouraging. I want to let the public know, I am an academic, and it is my duty to ensure that there is this transfer of knowledge.
Dr. Ferdinand, we need to quickly wrap up, but I must bring in this one, yeah. A group of young Ogoni, because you're talking about students and schools, a group of young Ogonis in the United States who are Ogoni students in the United States actually wrote a rejoinder to what the minister said, and they denied the allegation by the minister that litigation is slowing down the Ogoni. And this is what they said. They said the back and forth, the bureaucracy is actually what is slowing down. So I want you to tell your brothers and sisters, your Ogonis, Dr. Ferdinand Giadom, do you have unfettered access in your operation in High Prep? Are you saying that you have the free hands to do everything you want to do in High Prep? Be careful, because your people are listening to you.
Thank you very much. I read a book sometimes in the past that it said, Untying God's Hands. Who can tie God's hands? But they say untying God's hands, which means that there are several factors of things that could have progressed and certain things come to intervene. I remember some portion of scripture that said that someone prayed and God answered the prayer at the instant. But the the prince of Persia stood in the way of that question, of that prayer being answered. And
I think
angels, just hold on.
You're not a Bible student, so let's leave it like that. Let's leave it like that.
Some angels. So I want to tell my brothers in the US.
Yes.
Well, the information, I don't think they had complete information. Yes, this project is being bogged down by some litigations from various quarters. So that is a statement of fact. The litigations are there in the courts. It's public knowledge, and so that is that. But I again say bureaucracy. For every public project, everywhere in the world, not only in Nigeria, not only in High Prep. Bureaucracy is a mechanism of checks and balances, so that no matter what I desire, there are lots of things I would have loved to do yesterday, but these proposals must be checked by someone else, and someone else, and someone else before approvals are given.
Dr. Ferdinand Giadom, 30 seconds. Talk to Ogoni people. 30 seconds. Because we're rounding up now.
My brother Shegun, thank you very much. My Ogoni people, I thank you for your
if possible, you can speak in the language.
Constant interest in the project, because it is out of this interest that we know that yes, Ogoni is alive and well. Interrogate the project at any point in time. Anytime that you feel that things are not going the way it should go, there is no one man that is an island of knowledge. It's only God that is omniscient. So interrogate the project the way you are doing. Put me in the public sphere and x-ray what I am doing. But what we need from you most of the time is support and understanding. No man is God. Even the people who are doing interrogations, no man is God. I am not God. I do not know it all. I do not have all powers and all wisdom. So it is out of the support and contributions that we are going to have that we will collectively move this project forward. So miko ne panaviga pa Ogoni kokoi me a project adi by ni abele project ni anue aitu Ogoni kimasi anu enki ban iko me ye fefe lo adi Ogoni kobe etume ko esi ida ye bede adulo ebere ye ni bere bebo mini ye lo le abo bere bebo te ibani a kola ki ibadi ye vai ko pa Ogoni kikisi bere bakpo sun na olodoma kisi kolabe sungbani na sigatom ze siolovo bina bil kobo yimabe nugicha na bobe vo mbani ze apa Ogoni dene panaviga komo meni banei Biailo, bailo. Kola kame ba oda me o me ne pa high prep. Bobe ko kola be diki ekipiga be ten vice tomilezi all Izaki. Thank you very much.
I wish we could just we'll coin that into a jingle and play it. But again, thank you so much, Dr. Ferdinand Jadam, the project coordinator, the Hydrocarbon Pollution Remediation Project, HYPREP. Thank you so much for speaking to us.